Let's get started.
J.C. Sherbert. Woo! 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 Woo!
May I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
The electricity here in Columbia, well, has been buzzing loudly all weekend.
Passion of the crowd in Williams-Brice Stadium is second to none.
And the rave breaks out in Columbia.
It is good!
Gamecock fans, welcome home.
See how it goes, but we'll be ready to go.
It's time to root.
Touchdown, Carolina! It's gone! Touchdown! What a hit! He baked it in! Can you believe it? Gamecocks have won this game!
Here are your hosts, J.C. Sherbert.
Oh, watch him celebrate now!
Phil Molinex.
My wife doesn't like hanging around losers.
And Jamie Bradford.
I'm going to tell him, you look like you joined Duck Dynasty.
All right, greetings and good Wednesday morning, and welcome aboard Inside the Gamecocks, the show, live from the Sinorama Studios and very proudly presented by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. JB, JC, and Phil here until 1 o'clock this afternoon. It looks to be a breaking news type Wednesday for South Carolina football. And so as the show rolls along, we will – I don't know what that is in the background, but as the show rolls along, we will update you with what we know when it comes to the commitment watch list for South Carolina. Last night, Shane Beamer made some waves here in the Palmetto State as he did tweet out a couple of welcome homes. We believe we know who they are, but we will wait to see what is said from those prospects themselves. And the noon hour today could prove to be quite interesting as well for South Carolina. We'll let JC fill us in on that just a little bit more here in just a few minutes. There were 8 upsets last night in midweek baseball. South Carolina was not one of them. 10 runs on the board. They defeat Charleston Southern. And South Carolina now just 9 wins shy of 40 in the regular season. 31-6 after defeating the Bucks at Founders Park. Gavin Casas went yard. Carolina moves on. Tomorrow night they bring in the Florida Gators for the first of a 3-game series in the Midlands. It's a top 6 matchup, nationally ranked by D1 Baseball. Tomorrow evening's game is also nationally televised on ESPNU. But as we often encourage you, the best in the business, in the radio business, that is, Derek Scott and Tommy Moody, that's where you want to listen. There's no doubt about it. Speaking of Carolina baseball, coming up in 14 minutes, and we will be right on the nose with him so we can make sure that we get all the time we can. Monty Lee will join us here on our program. Coach Lee, of course, with South Carolina, and they are leading the nation in home runs. If you maybe haven't heard that, there's also a guy who might be the leader to be freshman of the year nationally, not just in the SEC. Ethan Petrie recently broke the home run record, freshman home run record set by Justin Smoke, maybe the best hitter to ever wear a uniform at South Carolina. Funny enough, Monte Lee coached Justin Smoke when he was a freshman and a sophomore and a junior. And he's got this kid as a freshman. So he coached one to break the other's record. I don't know how happy that makes Smoke, but we'll find out soon enough. So Monty will be here in about 13 minutes or so. With that said, though, hey, JC, hopefully Chicago's treating you well. I know this, in the low country of South Carolina, there's not an ounce of humidity. There's not a cloud in the sky, and it's set to be 83 degrees today. Absolutely beautiful for baseball. What's up?
Yeah, there was snow Monday, right? And then yesterday it got progressively better. It was a very pleasant day, and I think I just got the weather alert from this thing called The Patch, local news. It said 80 degrees and thunderstorms. So the dog will be scared today. He doesn't like storms. Like, he gets real nervous. It's almost like he can tell when it's coming. He'll start to pant, and I think he doesn't understand that he's inside, so he gets under the table. So you can always tell when there's storms coming, and he's a nervous wreck right now, so we'll probably be getting some rain. Hope it doesn't knock the power out here at Casa de Sherbert, but that's the deal there.
What's the weather like in the upstate there, Philip? Dr. Phil? Classic Phil.
Classic Phil, yeah. Oh, beautiful day. Look at that. A big Chamber of Commerce day up here in the upstate like it is down there in the low country. Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful day in Oconee. I'm assuming you're talking about Lake Oconee there. Matthew Reiser in the Nana Sports chat box. What a beautiful part of the Southeast. And so we appreciate you certainly for tuning in. Craig chimes in. Jack Gaglione hit another bomb last night for the Gators. He can rake. Leads the country. Yeah, well, the two guys that lead the SEC in home runs are going to be facing off starting tomorrow night. This series is going to be fantastic. We'll talk to Monty about that plenty, but JC, I know a lot of people want to get at least some type of leadoff comment from you as it pertains to Carolina football. Last night, Shane Beamer tweeted out a welcome home, and then he tweeted out another one. And it looks like there's also a couple of announcements being made today by guys whom are considered major leans to the program. There's also other scuttlebutt about whether there's something else going on that nobody knows about, at least publicly. So fill us in, basically, I'd say the last 14 or so hours of what you've learned and what you can share on the South Carolina recruiting front.
Well, I think South Carolina fans are going to be happy when all this is announced. I think it's two guys that I think if you were projecting the class, you would have probably penciled them in. But I'll put it this way: these guys weren't necessarily like locks. And there are no locks, right? I say that over and over. There's no locks, but these guys are guys that you kind of felt pretty good about the Gamecocks getting. But I don't, like I said, I don't know that it. Like in some of these announcements recently, the cat was sort of out of the bag, so to speak. I don't know that this was like the cat's out of the bag kind of thing. So it's always, I think, more fun when you're following it to kind of get a somewhat of a surprise, when these announcements happen, and you go, oh, okay, I don't think it's like a out of nowhere surprise. I remember the day Marshawn Lloyd committed, and that was a Memorial Day. I was actually had my first date with my fiance in Nashville, and was driving back to Atlanta after dropping her off at the airport. And I had to pull over on the side of the road because I think Keith texted me or called me and said Marshawn Lloyd committed. And Keith's accent, Marshawn Lloyd committed. I was like, oh man! And I had to pull over right there in Manchester, Tennessee, and kind of gather my thoughts because I don't know that anybody expected that to happen at that point in time. And so this would not probably be like one of those kind of out of nowhere things, but it's not. It's not like Josiah Thompson, where I think, kid from Dillon alludes to the fact on his visit that he knows where he's going, sets an announcement date and all that. I think that was a great pickup. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like a nice surprise. So how about that? It's just going to be a nice surprise. And of course, Mike Williams did say he's announcing today. Connect the dots with that if you want. The Great Wall of Carolina continues, if that indeed is one of them. And then the other one, a lot of nice, good guesses going on in the chat box and on the bigspur.com and elsewhere. And we'll see ultimately who it ends up being.
Yeah. You have something, Phil? Were you about to chime in there?
No, I was just
dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcast in school is really paying off for you. No,
Phil's looking at film and the crystal ball and trying to see who is it?
Yeah, I literally am. I'm reading article on the Big Spur, looking at the message boards. I'm like, all right,
these guys really know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
wait a second, what's he talking about? Let me go to the Big Spur and see if I can read up on it. Yeah, no, JC, I did speak to someone yesterday, long before the commitments were announced last night, who did say that, hey, look, the next probably couple of days, Carolina looks to add a few commitments, a couple of commitments potentially. And then, of course, with the portal opening, there's going to be movement starting from the inside out, leaving Carolina, and then, of course, South Carolina adding. So there's going to be, for the 23 roster, the 24 roster, all those type things, we're going to see a lot of movement in that over the next week or two is what I was told. But then this source also said, much like something you told me last week, a source that mentioned something to you, and this is a pretty good one as well, a really good one, as a matter of fact, who said to me, I really can't believe my eyes right now with what's going on. And he said, honestly, if you were sitting in the room with this staff, with Coach Beamer, with anybody and everybody who's involved in recruiting, because it's so much it's very hands-on in that building. Like, people that want to bang on Montario Hardesty for not recruiting, I don't actually think that they understand what he does behind closed doors to help get other guys on campus as well. And so it's very much a collective effort. And the way that it was described to me is that he not only does Shane and this staff understand recruiting and understand collective recruiting and understand how to kind of pick each other up and just kind of fill in the gaps to make sure that nothing ever slips through the cracks when it comes to recruiting. It's working at a pace that we've never seen in South Carolina. And if it stays at this pace, any of those classes that Clemson signed just a few years ago, you can wave those bye-bye as the best classes that they've ever seen come through this state. Just with the prospects that Carolina is heavily in on. Now, look, it doesn't mean that 8-5 record last year is all that's going to matter. Like, they got to go win games. They have to go out this fall and win games, probably in order for some of these guys to actually eventually land at South Carolina. As you said often, JC, you got to keep winning, and you got to prove that you're headed in the right direction. You're not just a one-trick pony and those type of things. So there are a couple guys out there where winning is going to much more matter than with some of these other ones. But again, combining sources here with the people we've talked to behind the scenes, it leaves you a little bit at a loss for words, and that sounds very dramatic, and I don't mean for it to be, but it is dramatic. So I'll just say it that way because we've never seen this, and so getting excited about it is okay. Letting yourself get excited about it is okay, and I don't imagine that could do anything but help all these prospects and certainly help Shane Beamer and his staff.
Well, it's kind of fun. Well, Shane Beamer just tweeted another welcome home.
Yeah, there you go. And so, yeah.
So so all right, there's 3. All right, here we go.
Rank this thing up.
It's hey, Hale McGrath. Here's something hilarious too. Hale post on the Big Spur. My current status. He's like scheduled off the next few days, and he's on the golf course. You have to understand that's classic Hale.
Yeah,
classic. He's got that dry sense of humor. It's like real understated but hilarious. So, but I hope he is off. I mean, I hope he is enjoying golf a little bit. Maybe he'd join travelingcountryclub.com and got that going. But yeah, so there's 3. So you can kind of connect the dots. I think with 2 of them, but. And the third one, like I said, will just be a nice surprise for everybody. It's just a nice surprise, everybody. Oh, my goodness. And I think I texted both of you this, Phil and Jamie, yesterday. I was looking at the 2025 rankings, and, of course, they updated them right after I put this together. And so it's no longer the case. But I looked at our 2025 rankings on 24/7 Sports. And so 2024, of course, is going great. South Carolina for the class of 2025. As things stand today, okay, and this is today, so you kind of, and I'm not one that likes to look way down the road or anything, but you kind of peek around the corner a little bit because it matters. South Carolina leads or is in the top 2 for the number 1 player in the country, for the number 2 player in the country. They lead for the number 13 player in the country, from Mississippi, Caleb Cunningham. Number 1 is, of course, David Sanders, the tackle from Charlotte. Number 2 is Elijah Griffin, the D tackle from Savannah. So those are just over the border places. It's close to South Carolina, right? The 13th player in the country is Caleb Cunningham, the wide receiver from Choctaw County, Mississippi, who visited and named the Gamecocks as a leader. And then Amari Adams from Lake City, who dropped in the rankings for some reason. He's the number 46 player in the country. So that's 4 of the top 50 players in America. 3 of the top 13. South Carolina either leads or is number 2 or in the top 2 for all of those kids. And that's just looking down the road. And one of them's from South Carolina, obviously. And obviously Charlotte and Savannah are near South Carolina locations. So geography does still play a factor in football recruiting, always has. But you kind of peek around the corner a little bit, and you're like, wow, this is not something that's just gonna be like, oh my God, remember that time Carolina signed this great class. I think it's Shane Beamer is setting it up to be sustainable, which I think is important. And I think lots of coaches have had good classes. I don't know that Beamer, before Beamer, anybody, and look, they still have to sign them, they still have to get here and all that, but I don't know that I've seen a coach, including Steve Spurrier, that could string them all together back to back to back like this. Spurrier, he'd have early on, he'd have one really highly rated class and then a class full of guys that ended up being good players, but they weren't that highly ranked or whatever coming out of high school. So, and then I think Muschamp was kind of stuck in that 18 to 20 range. I mean, a lot of good players, but probably, and he would probably tell you the same thing. They didn't close on the handful of elite guys or a handful of elite guys that they would have liked. So anyway, I know we got to get to Monty and talk about my favorite sport, baseball. So
yeah, well, I
could talk about this stuff all day. I mean, I could sit here all day long and like turn on a tape recorder and be like, just give a monologue on this stuff. But I do think there's reason to be excited if you're a
Yeah.
Gamecock fan. And by the way, shout out to USC Segi, who's tuning in today from El Paso, Texas.
All right. Appreciate that.
Hopefully
Lone Star State
stays on this side and doesn't hang out in Juarez too often.
Let's steer clear of that.
To steer clear of Juarez, man. Anyway,
the recruiting right now that reminds me of a lot of years what Carolina baseball was doing, signing all the best players in the country. So let's hope that keeps up, because when that happens, we've seen what happens in baseball. And
the state Carolina's also not letting good kids get out of the state either. I mean, when you can have that, when you can go get elite guys and keep the best elite guys in state, but then not let a Nick Emanware or a DQ Smith out of the state and go someplace else, and then you look foolish in a couple of years because maybe that 4-star you got from wherever wasn't as good.
Yeah.
They're covering their bases here. And I love that. That makes for a solid roster. By the way, I apologize to Monty Lee and everybody else for running my mouth.
We will hit a timeout. It's 11:20 on the nose on this Wednesday, April the 19th. Gamecocks win last night, and they'll try to do it again this weekend against the third-ranked Florida Gators. Monty Lee joins us next on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The real estate market has changed dramatically from just a year ago. Rates, supply, demand, all of your traditional factors are in a transition phase. That's why if you or someone you know are considering making a move in the low country, contact me, JB, at Coast to Coast Realty. I work with an outstanding support cast of attorneys, lenders, inspectors, insurance agents, and more, all of whom are valuable in helping find a way for you to comfortably make your real estate decision. That's right. Call me, JB, your low country real estate broadcaster.
Traveling to cheer on the Gamecocks? Reserve your hotel stay with Fan Plans. Your booking supports Inside the Gamecocks and the Big Spur, plus you still earn your hotel loyalty points. Visit fanplans.com/Inside the Gamecocks.
What's up, Gamecock Nation? This is Jakar Moore from the DMV, and you are listening to the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. 803-446-4662 is how to get in touch with John and his team to talk about how they could potentially turn your backyard into an outdoor retreat this summer. And, of course, the first hour of the show is brought to you by Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Kane Realty team here in the Upstate. Give Cindy a call at 864-414-5271 for all your Upstate residential real estate needs. And we're happy to announce that on the McKellar Enterprises guest line, we have Associate Head Coach Monty Lee with us this morning. Morning, Monty. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you guys doing?
Let's see that hat. What kind of hat you got on?
Lift
yeah,
heavy.
What is it?
It says lift heavy, drop bombs. It's my workout hat.
Oh, boy.
You've been doing plenty of that.
Yeah, really.
I mean, you are talking about hitting the baseball with the dropping bombs part, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drop bombs.
Oh man. Hey, thanks for making some time for us, Mont. Really appreciate it. I know y'all got a big series coming up this weekend and a lot of preparation to get to, but we wanted to plug in and try to. Well, we're over halfway through the season, 31-6 after last night's win over Charleston Southern, and couple of bang ups here. Obviously, Noah's out. Talmadge day to day, from what King said, I think last night. So evaluate your team where you are at 31-6 here as you head into the Gators this weekend.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot to like. I mean, I think if you look at our pitching staff, you know, it certainly hurts to lose a guy like a Noah Hall. You know, going into the season, felt like was our best starter, and you know, losing him has, you know, we have to find a way. I think moving forward, just to we got to get deeper into the games. We have to utilize our bullpen a little bit more. We need a couple guys, you know, to step up. I saw some really good signs out of Dylan Eskew, Proctor. Both those guys threw the ball very, very well, and you know, gave our guys like a Veach. We wanted to get Kate Austin back on the mound. You know, a Veach and an Eli Jones, guys that we've used a good bit, you know, out of the bullpen. Wanted to try to give those guys a blow, a Hicks. You know, those three main guys that we've been using out of the bullpen. You know, felt like going into yesterday's game, we need to try to. None of those guys were up. So we needed to find some answers from some other guys, and I thought Eskew did an outstanding job out of the pen. Proctor was outstanding out of the pen. I think we got 6 innings out of those guys. So, you know, that was big for us. So, you know, offensively, I think we're doing a good job, you know, overall as a collective unit. Losing Lee Croy, you know, certainly hurt. You know, don't know exactly, you know, how long he's going to be out yet. You know, he'll get reevaluated today, but, you know, we're a little bit thin position player wise. We don't have a lot of depth. So we just got to figure out a way to just keep grinding out at bats. We got to do a better job defensively. I think everybody realizes that. You know, we've got to find a way, you know, moving forward to minimize the free 90. I think our pitching staff does a good job of that, but defensively, we've got to try to help our pitching staff when it comes to making the routine play, to force the other team to beat us. You know, just feel like, you know, here lately, you know, we've given up some runs, you know, probably where, you know, a walk and then an error, you know, led to some opportunities for the opposition. And if you're going to win in this league, you know, you have to minimize the free 90 on the pitching and defensive side, and offensively, you know, we just got to find a way, you know, to get productive at bats now. You know, losing a guy like a Lee Croy, and we don't know exactly for how long, but you know, some of those other guys have got to pick up the slack there, and we got to find a way to be productive. And our dudes got to be dudes. I mean, it's really that simple. Guys like, you know, Wimmer and Petrie, Casas hit a big home run last night. Hopefully, we can get him going again. Yeah. You know, he's been scuffling a little bit here lately. So, you know, again, like our dudes need to be dudes offensively for us. And, you know, the other guys have got to just grind out at bats like we've been doing all year and finding ways to get on base for those guys.
Well, between the two programs this weekend, there will be 170 jacks in the ballpark. Y'all in Florida are hitting them out of there at an incredible rate. One of those guys you just mentioned is Ethan Petrie. I've been waiting to ask you this question. And of course, it was right on cue. I get the text from Justin. Tell Monty to take that damn pencil out of his hand.
Right. You know, it's been 23 years as a coach, because, you know, I try to make a lot of notes so I go over things that'll help players like Justin Smoke, you know, who knows everything, obviously.
Yeah. You don't.
One of my favorites. Boy, he can dish it out.
Well, it's funny because before the first LSU game, I texted him, and you know how his conversations go with him. You know, you're generally just barking back and forth about nonsense. But I said, serious question: how do you hit a 102-mile-an-hour fastball? And because I've seen 96, Monty, I've never seen it 102. And his response was, well, sometimes 100 looks 93, and sometimes 93 looks 100. It just all depends on the spin.
Yeah,
I said, well, so how do you hit how do you hit the one that comes in at 102 that looks 102? And he said, gear up for the fastball and hit it. And your guys did that that night. Wimmer hit one out, and Petrie hit a couple. One of his was a breaking ball. But I think you're the perfect guy for this, obviously, because just a couple of days ago, Ethan did break Smoke's freshman record, which is incredible. And he's still got a lot of games to play. So he's at 18. Justin's at 17. you've coached both of these guys their freshman year of college. It's a major adjustment playing college baseball your freshman year. Do you mind comparing and contrasting the two hitters? And I don't know if you can remember that far back, not to age you a little bit, but what you saw Justin go through as a freshman and what you've seen Ethan go through as a freshman this year.
Well, it's yet to be determined with Ethan. I think it's pretty early to compare those two guys. That they both do a lot of things in a similar way offensively. The thing about Justin that made Justin so special, we all knew that he had a tremendous amount of God-given talent. We all felt like we were getting a big leaguer to come to school when he came to play for us at South Carolina, and he went on to have a great career in professional baseball. But Justin always carried himself with an extreme amount of confidence. The thing that was super cool to be a part of when Justin was here was just, even when he had a bad at bat or he didn't have a great game, he was the same dude all the time. I think like that even keel confidence swagger that Justin brought to the ballpark and to the clubhouse every day. I think that resonated with his teammates and you wanted to be like Justin, just calm, cool, collected, confident, tremendous amount of swagger, always felt like at any point in time he could get you. And he was incredibly consistent because he was consistent, personality wise, day in and day out. He was a great guy to be around too. He's a tremendous teammate. Petrie's the same way. Petrie, the thing about Petrie, he doesn't, and very similar to Justin, he doesn't have a lot of holes. Like he hits fastballs in all parts of the strike zone. He hits breaking balls out over the plate really, really well. And he's a kid too that's very, very consistent, I think, mentally day in and day out. They're both big physical guys that have power, both very athletic. Petrie plays the outfield for us. I could see him at some point maybe moving into first base because of his size. But, Justin's probably the best defensive first baseman I've ever been around. So he was a complete player. I think Ethan is certainly well on his way, to being that caliber of player, but, he's still a freshman. He's still got areas of the game that he needs to improve upon, and he will, just with maturity. But they're both special players, that are, when they were freshmen, were probably both the best freshmen in the country, in those given years.
I think the thing that's amazing about Petrie is, Monty, in my uneducated baseball expertise, right? All year long. Again, he's a freshman. You keep trying to remind people, well, he's gonna hit the skids at some point. Like it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it more than likely probably still will happen. But to this point, he really hasn't. We're 2 months into the season, and this kid has made every adjustment in the books. You've seen him hit him up here. He goes down and gets him. He understands the strike zone. And I think that really points to what you were just saying, just to kind of back that up with being level-headed and approaching every beat the same way.
Aggressive. He's a little bit different. I think Justin was probably a little more patient. Justin was could really have an above average mentally approach for a kid that age. When Justin was a freshman, like Justin would tell me, I was sitting on his breaking ball the whole at bat, or I was sitting on his changeup. Like I can remember him hitting home runs, like sitting on a pitch and selling out to a pitch because he knew at some point he was going to get it. What makes the elite hitter is they don't miss it, when they get that pitch.
Right.
And I think that, Petrie's a little bit different. Petrie just hunts the ball up in the zone, and if it's a fastball, breaking ball, or changeup, it doesn't really matter to him. He's a little more aggressive. He's more aggressive to a certain part of the strike zone than he is just kind of selling out to one pitch in one spot. They're a little bit different in that regard. So when it comes to Petrie, if you make mistakes to Petrie with regardless of what pitch it is, he can kill it. Whereas Justin was probably a little more patient, would take his walk if you didn't give him something to look for, that he was looking for. So I think Petrie will only get better as he starts to learn the strike zone even more. Because he can pretty much hit anything you throw his way if it's around the plate. That's what makes him special. But he's, it's fun to watch because you just know it's just, it's just a matter of time. If you keep throwing balls over the plate because he's aggressive, he can cover so much of the plate. He can hammer you.
Boy, there's no question about that. Staying on the topic of players on the roster, a guy that you know very well, Dylan Brewer, kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start. He hits another one out last night. He's been on a tear, Monty. Can you take us through what it kind of took to get him going?
Well, just time. I mean, I think for a guy like a Brewer, Dylan's a kid. Obviously, I've got a long history with him. He was a kid that came into the program as a freshman with, he kind of had that bullseye on his back as like that super talented elite athlete, potential 5-tool player. And, and he showed glimpses of that over his career. And I think that just kind of the pressure of living up to those expectations for him over his career probably mentally wore him down at times. And I think Dylan this year, a change of scenery, new opportunity. I think he's probably just having more fun, quite honestly. I think like as he's gotten older, I think just putting the team first and not worrying so much about his ups and downs and the expectations that he probably has for himself and that others have put on him, as a 5-tool player, potential 5-tool player, big time prospect. I think just going out and just purely enjoying playing. I think his teammates love him. He loves being here with this group of players, the band of misfits that we have. He kind of fits in really well with those guys, the Portal Mafia, as I call them. He kind of fits in with, with some of these other guys that we have. And I think he's just done a great job. And he's another guy too. At times he can swing through an off-speed pitch or chase a pitch out of the zone. And then, you throw that same pitch in the next at bat, and he did what he did last night, and a 0-2 count on an all-speed pitch. He hit it 436 feet. Like, you see it come out of him from time to time where he's just a freak of an athlete, and he's got the tools to be a tremendous player, and he's certainly taking advantage of his opportunities right now.
Okay, and so on the opposite side of that, Monty, I remember I was talking to you before I don't know, I think it was the Penn series. And I just walked down there and I just mentioned to Scott Wingo watching Caleb Denny hit. I was like, man, this guy's swing is sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he carried himself was very professional. And then I know he got moved into the leadoff hole. And I personally feel like since then, he's just been trying to kind of find it.
Yeah.
Do you know, because when you watch him swing the bat, you think, my gosh, he's got it all there, but it's really been a struggle. Can you evaluate him a little bit? Because we all know that he's going to hit, and you're going to need him down the stretch. It's just a matter of when he pops out of it.
Yeah, I think what's happened to Caleb, a little bit this year is what happens to hitters. Every hitter kind of goes through it at some point in time in their career, where you scuffle a little bit, and all of a sudden you want to change your swing, or you want to change your hands, or you want to change your stance. And then when that doesn't work, you change to something else. And when that doesn't work, you change to something else. And then what winds up happening more times than not, they go back to where they started out. And I think that with Caleb, he wants to perform so well for us that I think he's, again, probably put a little bit too much pressure on himself and tried to make some adjustments. He just hasn't found it quite yet. I thought last night, even though I know he punched out a couple times, I actually thought his swing looked better. It looked more like it did earlier in the year. He had a huge walk for us to lead off an inning where we scored a run. We just got to keep finding ways to get him in there. And, a lot of times with guys like that who have had success, but are having kind of an up and down season, they just got to see the ball go through the hoop, one time. You just catch that one barrel, and next thing you know, it's like, for the hitter's mind, which gets beat up so bad in this game, is like, I can hit, and a lot of times it's simply that, where he just needs to see the ball go through the hoop. I think he's closer to finding it than he is far away from it, just based on what I'm seeing in his, in his batting practices and his cage routines. And, just here lately, he's looked pretty dang good.
I know we're really short on time with you, and we got to get you going. I wasn't planning to ask you this, but you mentioned the Portal Mafia and the Misfits. Gosh, who did we talk to a couple weeks ago, guys? Who was Kimball? Kimball was on here with us, and he was, his little. I call it what do you call it? Do you call it a vlog or a vlog, Monty?
Well, I call it. Well, look, I'm a country boy from Kershaw County.
Yeah.
So I call everything whatever I hear somebody else say because I'm not smart enough. I thought Wi-Fi when I first heard the word Wi-Fi. I saw it like, hey, Wi-Fi available. I thought it was Wi-Fi.
I like that. Yeah. I'll probably start calling it Wi-Fi myself.
We call it Wi-Fi at the house. Yeah, that's it.
For like a year, every time I would see a restaurant or something at Starbucks, I'd go get a cup of coffee, and everybody's getting lattes and macchiatos. I'm getting black coffee, and it says Wi-Fi available. I'm like, what is Wi-Fi? What is that?
It's like a creamer or something. Would you like some Wi-Fi with that? Yeah.
So I mean, that's just the way my mind. I'm way more simple than all that. So, like it's a vlog, just because I think that's what they call it. It's a vlog. And when Roman, when people were telling me, hey man, he's got this vlog, he's got all these videos. I was like, what? So I started watching them on YouTube. They're actually pretty dang good. It's pretty cool. Now. So I go on YouTube, and it's like every time I go on YouTube, Roman Kimball stuff pops up on my feed. So, yeah. So.
If it makes you feel any better, I was calling in a vlog about halfway through our segment, and I kept noticing people were saying stuff to me, and I was like, man, I saw a boy up at Santa Lan in Cherokee, North Carolina, and it all came back to me. He asked me, he said, hey, you mind if I film your kids on my vlog here? And I said, sure. So I thought it was a vlog, man. I didn't know. But I mentioned to him, I said, because he was talking about giving haircuts or something. And I said, so who cuts or doesn't cut Messina's hair? Because he's got the whole Joe Dirt thing going on, and
right.
His cat really seems to like it. Doesn't really affect his swing. Ball leaves the yard at a rapid pace. So I guess it's fine. But like you mentioned, the Misfits and all this type stuff, and we've heard that around here. You know that, and it kind of ended up well. I'm not predicting anything; it just ended up pretty well. But when you walk into that locker room, what do you have in there? What's going on when you get in there for practice, games, whatever it is?
Well, I think that what it is, I think that probably the thing that's been so fun for me personally is just when you see a group of guys that were coming off of a tough season last year, and you get all these guys back who are healthy, and they know that, hey, we feel like we can do some things if we get the right pieces of the puzzle in place here. And then you get these kids from the outside that are coming in that have been other places, and they were looking for something else, right? They were either really good mid-major, smaller school type players that wanted an opportunity to play in the SEC and in a big program, and they were looking for something else. And when you put all that together, the hunger of the guys coming back from last year to try to turn it around, along with the new guys coming in who we're looking for a new opportunity in a new place. I just think that collection of group together, the culture of the team and the chemistry of the team has been unlike anything I've been around for quite some time. They just have so much fun together. And you got so many loud personalities, on the team. And I think the thing that King does a really good job of is he lets these guys be themselves individually within the team concept. And I think that's been really, really fun to be a part of, is just letting them be themselves individually, but making sure that they put the team first and that it's all about the team. He's done a great job of just navigating the ship, as the season has went along, and it's been really fun to be a part of it. Just because we do have so many different. That we certainly don't have any robots. I can tell you that. It's not like a bunch of guys that act the same. That's for sure. Like, we got a lot of different personality types on this team, and but it makes it a lot of fun to be a part of.
All right, we know they hit the long ball, Monty. Quick 30-second scouting report on the Gators as they come in tomorrow night. This is a big weekend for y'all.
Yeah, maybe the most talented. Look, the SEC's loaded with talent. When you look at Florida, they are absolutely loaded with talent. You look at their starters, Waldrop, Sproat, and Caglione. The first two.
There he is. Yeah.
Oh, it's muted.
Oh, it's muted.
Yeah. There we go.
There you
good? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, they have two power arms. Their first two guys are power arms, and they have a very powerful athletic lineup. The key for us is we've got to be able to grind out at bats, score on them early, and get into their bullpen. Their bullpen has been their weakness this year, so we have to find a way to get those two starters out of the game to the best of our ability. We got to have really disciplined approaches at the plate, grind out at bats, force them to throw a bunch of pitches. Somebody's got to juice a baseball, with runners on base against them, and get our crowd behind us. We really need our crowd to be there and be behind us this weekend, especially, with what's at stake. So we need to have a good weekend. I think the crowd's going to be a big part of it. Our starting pitchers got to give us some length, and we got to find a way, to grind out at bats against two elite starting pitchers.
Well, I'm trying to make my way up there, Monty, and we'll continue to push it. I know it made a big difference in game one of that LSU series for y'all as well. You mentioned the crowd, and go out there and watch them. You very well could be watching the best baseball team in the country. I'm talking about the Gamecocks, not the Gators, this weekend at Founders Park. Hopefully they get healthy and get rolling. Monty, thank you for your time. Really do appreciate it. I'm glad the Wi-Fi's working well at Founders Park, so we can get you on video today.
Sounds good. Appreciate you having me on.
Always, brother. Take care now. Mm-hmm. He got about 16 texts during that too, so he's probably got a bunch of players, trying to hey, Mont, I'm committing at noon on Twitter with all the football players.
My first reaction was like, I wonder.
Back.
Yeah, how's recruiting going? Right? It's like we've seen what the impact of living above expectations on the football field does. So what is bringing glory back to the diamond has an impact on recruiting.
Well, a lot, I can tell you that. They we'll put it this way. If you are a good baseball player in this state and you're being recruited by South Carolina now, there's been some years where all these guys have been signing, go play everywhere else. That ain't happening anymore, and it ain't gonna happen anymore. Those days are long gone, and that gentleman you just saw on the screen right there certainly has a lot to do with it. All right, we are powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston, and we dearly love Michelle Wilkins and cannot wait to see her next week and her staff at the Carolina Rise events and Home Team Barbecue in North Mount Pleasant. Get your tickets if you have not. We are going to talk about that a little bit more today, a lot more today, as a matter of fact. But we do need to hit a timeout because when we return, we'll wind down this is our second timeout, right? We're good? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll wind down hour one, and then as we get to we'll hit it on the nose. When we open hour two, could be an interesting hour two as it pertains to Gamecock football recruiting. So we let JC save his voice in that segment with Monty Lee, and he'll have plenty to say on the other side of this and throughout the show. Hang tight. Inside the Gamecocks from the Signorama Studios and painted garnet and black by a couple of painters. We'll be right back.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for a karaoke partner, I can tell you, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. But what I do have is a very specific set of skills. Hang up now, and your IT nightmares will continue. But stay on the line, and I will find you. And when I find you, I will fix it. Thanks. I think I have the wrong number. I'm trying to call Matt at Heritage Digital. He has a one price, low cost turnkey solution for all my IT needs. And I'm sick and tired of my IT guy. So yeah, 843-699-1001. This is 1002. Oh, well, thanks anyway. Don't be taken by some IT dude that talks a big game. Give Matt at Heritage Digital a call, 843-699-1001.
Gamecock Nation, JB here, and I'm here to tell you about my new favorite painting company, A Couple of Painters. These guys are the best. Gamecock fans and excellent painters, and by far the best and easiest quote I've received. They're licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia. They offer 10% off for military, repeat customers, or if you heard it on the show, commercial and residential painting, deck, fence, and cabin staining, cabinet and furniture refinishing. They'll even remove popcorn ceilings and wallpaper, and they offer pressure washing. Find them on Facebook or call 803-522-6832. A Couple of Painters, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
Grow. Don't you know, no. From the littlest chick to the big old cock, it's the gift. Here comes the West. Danny Hill. He'll run. Touchdown. Oh, watch him celebrate now. You're top of the cool. Star of the show. You're used to who's born to grow. Well, I bet you wonder when you win.
And we're back. Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John and his team a call, 803-446-4662, or shoot him an email, johnb@expresssunrooms.com, to talk about how they can bring some more sunshine into your life. And, of course, if you're looking to buy or sell a home here in the upstate, Cindy Searfoss of Coldwell Banker Kane Realty would be happy to help you. She's the sponsor of our first hour. You can get in touch with Cindy at 864-414-5271.
All right, JC, so let's go ahead and set the scene here, because we've only got about 6 minutes, and then we need to hit a timeout to try to get back on time. So let's reset everything for those that are just jumping in the boat, who've been missing for the last 50 minutes or so. First of all, you missed a great conversation with our buddy, everybody's the Gamecocks buddy, Monty Lee.
Monty Lee.
Go back and check that out. But last night, Shane Beamer announces a couple of welcome homes. We get another one this morning. So we are waiting on, at some point in time, 3 announcements from Gamecock targets, correct?
I would think, and I don't know that they're all going to be today.
But we've got 2 announcements coming up at noon, correct?
I would think there would be, yeah. I think today maybe 2, depending on what exactly Kelvin Hunter is going to announce.
What is
maybe he announces a top 3, maybe it's somebody else and not Kelvin Hunter that is the other welcome home. But I do think I don't think this is going to be one of those things that drags out. From that's the feel that I get. So so we should probably have 2/3 of the piece of the puzzle, most likely, here in the next hour.
Okay,
I would think, and if not all 3. So.
Let me throw a wrench into this for you. What did you make of yesterday at 3:00, the random South Carolina video tweet from Dylan Stewart? Hey, look, people are wondering if we're going to dig up Ara Parseghian and if Jordan Birch is coming back. So I'm going to really stir the butter on this one. What's going on with Dylan Stewart?
Stir the butter. I like that. Stir the butter.
Yeah.
Churn the butter. Stir the butter.
We stir.
I think South Carolina's in really, really good shape for him. But look, man, it's big boy recruiting. Competition is stiff. when you're talking about the other three schools that people say are in the mix for him strongly are Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. And I talked to somebody last night that thinks the kid's going to the SEC. He thinks it's one of the three SEC schools, but that's stiff competition. Those programs did not get to where they are at by not playing big boy recruiting, right? And so it's not. I would be completely floored if Dylan Stewart committed to South Carolina this early, but I think it's something that just like Nick Harbor, you got to play the long game on, and when we're sitting here next December, we'll probably be talking. It'll be Dylan Stewart Day, just like it was Nick Harbor Day. But I do think South Carolina's in really good shape with him. You almost don't want the kid to commit this early. If you're the Gamecocks, because all of a sudden everybody sort of knows who they got to beat. You get a big target on your back, and then you got the best programs in the country trying to flip him, and some of them do the no pressure flip, like, oh, just come on down to. We're circumcising the dog today in our ceremony here in Athens, so just come watch that. To the right hand of Rick, and we just want to talk to you and hang out. Then the next thing the kid's flipping, and so you put a target on your back sometimes when you get guys like this committed really, really early. Like what happened with Clemson and Robert Kimdichie, to be honest.
Sure. Ole
Miss knew there was one school they had to beat, and they used his brother and everything else.
And they did
pried him away from the Tigers. So, that's recruiting. And so I would be surprised if it were Stewart. I think with Mike Williams,
I wasn't saying that, just so you
know. I think with Mike Williams, I think Mike Williams, obviously is a Maryland kid that is going to announce. And then, you got Hunter who's out there possibly. And then number 3, we'll see who it is. So I think that's the one that would be kind of the nice surprise.
All right.
All
right. Final question of the hour, so we can squash this bug and move on, because I'm tired of looking at it. I don't mean that offensively to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of people bringing it's the same crap as Marshawn Lloyd. Can we just move past this? Will you please squash this bug for everybody?
It keeps coming up, and
so did the Lloyd stuff.
Yeah, there's a little bit. I don't want to completely dismiss this because, everybody I've talked to about it says they don't use the word not happening or laugh, or they don't laugh. I mean, I do believe there's been some chatter about it, right? But I just think that it's hard. It's hard to transfer back because, I mean, they just put in a new rule about double transfers where they're going to kind of clamp down on it. I almost think
he's not a graduate.
He would have to have graduated from Oregon in one semester, and come back, and that would clear him to do it. So I just don't, And then I talked to my guy at Oregon, and he checked with, their staff, and they say Jordan seems fine, happy out there. So who knows? I think anytime you go that far from home, and you probably don't think about it, right, before you make that decision. That flight out to Oregon is a beast. I mean, I used to have to fly to Portland every single summer for the Nike camps, the opening or whatever. Great event. But, man, you had to fly to Chicago from Nashville, which was short, and then sit at Midway for an hour or two. And then you get on this long 5-hour journey to the Pacific Northwest. And Chicago's halfway across the country, folks. So imagine doing that from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done Atlanta to Seattle before, and that's a bear. So, you just don't realize how far it is. And then on top of that, Eugene is nowhere near Portland. It's 2 hours down I-5. Eugene and Corvallis are actually kind of from like maybe Greenville to Clemson apart. They're both stuck down kind of in the middle of Oregon. And so it's not Nike land like you think. It's really a rural kind of relatively nice area, but man, it's a journey to get there. I mean, it's a day, and I think that for a kid that's never, he's lived in Columbia and Sumter or wherever, and Florence, Columbia, the Midlands of South Carolina his whole life, and went to school at USC, and that's what he knows. For somebody that goes that far, there has to be some homesickness, right? And that's normal. But so I can't like pour water all over the thing and put out that fire, but I'm not throwing any gas on it. I'm not putting any kind of wood on the stove, so to speak. I think it's highly unlikely that would even there's enough out there to where I don't want to sit there and act like we're just making stuff up or lying off about it. It would also be not correct.
Well, we'll pour water on this segment. It is time for a timeout. We'll see what happens as the noon hour has arrived here on this Wednesday afternoon. Hang tight. Inside the Gamecocks, the show teed up by TravelingCountryClub.com. We'll be right back.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Kevin O'Connell with Union Home Mortgage is a local mortgage expert and Gamecocks fan servicing North and South Carolina. Whether you're buying a home, building your dream home with new construction, or turning your equity into cash, UHM's world-class service will ensure you find the perfect mortgage to achieve your home ownership goals. Call Kevin at 803-906-0244 or visit UHM.com today. Union Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS 2229, LONMLS 1772182.
Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Oventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Welcome to TravelingCountryClub.com, your modern golf club experience. Hey folks, this is Michael Manus, former Gamecock golfer, inviting you to play more golf with a membership to TravelingCountryClub.com. With over 40 courses across the Carolinas, our membership provides you with an affordable way to enjoy a club-like golf experience. From the mountains to the coast, we offer golf courses that will challenge all types of golfers, no matter your handicap level or level of play. Plus, we offer unique membership benefits not seen anywhere else as part of Traveling Country Club. In July, we're excited to bring to you the 3rd annual Plunder on Pawleys 2-day golf tournament, with rounds played at Caledonia and True Blue golf courses in the heart of Pawleys Island. Head to TravelingCountryClub.com to register for that event, and it is not exclusive to TCC members, but to become one, you can sign up and bring to life your golf game. Tee it up with Traveling Country Club, TravelingCountryClub.com, TravelingCountryClub.com, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
This is Zachary Davis from Carolina Hoops, and you're watching the show with JB, JC, and Phil. Go Cox.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. As you can see, Kelvin Hunter, but I think Mike Williams as well. Oh my goodness, it's too much, too fast. It's all happening.
It's happening. It's
all
happening.
Yeah. Yeah, leading off the noon hour here. But both of these, welcome back first and foremost to Inside the Gamecocks, the show. JC, both of these you already mentioned in hour number one seem to be expected. Let's start with Mike Williams from the DMV area, the offensive lineman. He is a 3-star. In the brief information and limited information I've received on him in the last 24 to 48 hours, he is one of these type guys that as time goes on, more than likely you will see him climb in the rankings. At least that's the way I've read it. So give us the details on Mike Williams and what led to this decision and if that's true or not.
Mike Williams, another prospect from the DMV, South Carolina. I mean, I don't think Taylor Edwards and Shane Beamer and Lonnie Teasley are going to be allowed inside the Beltway for too much longer. I mean, that it's getting serious. He's an absolutely massive kid. He plays at Charles Herbert Flowers, where Desmond Umeozulu and walk-on tight end, I think his name's Maurice Brown. Maybe, I hope I'm not wrong with that. Mike's 6'6", 325. You know, I always like big offensive linemen named Mike because you can call him Big Mike, you know, like the Blind Side, you know, Big Mike. It's hey, Big Mike, you know. But anyway, he a massive guy, probably could be a tackle, could be a guard, a lot like Blake Franks, can swing either way. And then he's kind of similar to Jatavius Shivers from the last class, to where, you know, his best days of football are down the road. You know, all offensive linemen, even Cam Pringle, Josiah Thompson, whoever you're talking about, are developmental. The higher rated ones usually are closer to getting to that ceiling. They're not there yet, but they're closer. This guy's probably further away, but in time, you know, you just love the potential, the footwork, and he had a list of, his top three were Maryland, Michigan State, and South Carolina. I think I'm always looking for little, you know, trends in recruiting that can be beneficial to whoever or whatever program. I think programs that, in the SEC that, you know, aren't going, and if it's not necessarily a recruiting crusade where they're fighting off all the top teams in the country, if you look at who they're beating, if you beat Michigan State and Maryland, two Big Ten programs on offensive linemen, you know, that league recruits offensive linemen at a pretty high level compared to the SEC, if you look at the NFL numbers and stuff. So, you know, anytime you can beat a Big Ten school, beat Arkansas, because Sam Pittman definitely knows what he's doing up front, that's always a good sign. And so, you know, if you're not blown away by Mike's star rating, which is fine, it's a solid 3-star, then kind of look at who they beat. And I think winning those types of battles sometimes can point you in the right direction in terms of what a prospect's upside is.
So you do share in the fact that he is more than likely for those that really dig into the star ratings and this, that, and the other, he's a guy who will probably continue to climb there.
Yes. Okay. And look, that high school, they do a pretty good job of developing guys, because Umeozulu got a lot better between his junior and senior year. Obviously, he was one of the top prospects in the country, but Umeozulu got a lot better, while he was up there. So if you're kind of looking for similar improvement at Charles Herbert Flowers from Big Mike, you know, it stands to reason that he'll probably improve quite a bit as a senior as well. And then on up to when he goes to Carolina, and, you know, away we go. I think, I don't know, man. I just think, I think this is a big pickup for the Gamecocks. I wasn't quite sure they would get him. I mean, I knew he liked South Carolina a lot, but for them to, I didn't think necessarily they'd get him this early. So, man, the Great Wall of Columbia continues to be built by Lonnie Teasley and his group. So very, very excited.
All right.
You know, if you're a Gamecock.
All right. So we have, it's 12:08, by the way, on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks to Monty Lee for joining us in hour one. If you missed that conversation, you'll really want to hear it and learn all about Wi-Fi. And of course, here leading off hour two, the Gamecocks picking up a couple of more commitments. So to kind of recap, so I know we have a lot of people joining our broadcast now. That's how this works. We know it. When commitments land, people tune in. So there is one quote unquote unknown welcome home out there, JC. The other is now known. That's also Kelvin Hunter. One of the top-ranked prospects, the second-ranked prospect in the state of South Carolina currently. So give us the timeline on him. And you see him as a prospect. He's another one of these, a little bit under 6 foot type safeties. Carolina's had a lot of success with those in the past.
Yeah, he's a guy that you just have to, South Carolina offered this guy, I think it was one of the first camps they were able to have when the new staff got here. Probably it may have been on the first day. Torian Gray offered this kid. Didn't really, despite the early offer from South Carolina, didn't get a lot of hype or anything like that until here come these other offers. Here comes Auburn. Here comes Kentucky. Here comes Michigan. And then you watch him on film, guys. This is a state of South Carolina defensive back with high upside and potential that will knock you into next week. You want a player comparison, maybe DJ Swearinger, maybe Rashad Faison a little bit.
Yeah.
He's bigger than Rashad. He's not as big as DQ. So, but you get my point. Keith mentioned Judge Collier the other day. Judge Collier was a camp and commit guy from the state of South Carolina. You can never have too many of these guys on your roster if you're the Gamecocks. What I like about Kelvin is he's kind of getting his due because he's up to like a 4-star prospect and the number 13 safety nationally. And as you mentioned, about 24/7 Sports, or 16 for composite, 13 for 24/7 Sports. 24/7 Sports has him as second-ranked prospect in the state. Now, I don't know. I'd probably have him third. But, I can't say enough good about him and the fact that Torian Gray developed that relationship from day one. He's from West Florence High School. Florence is a Gamecock country, right? And you start thinking about you got a pretty good quarterback from South Florence on your roster now. This kid's from West. So it's always important, I think, for the Gamecocks to get the best players out of Florence, and they are. The Xavier Thomas anomaly is over, so it's good to see him starting to get guys like that. But this guy will absolutely rock you physically. He's just one of those tough, hard-nosed, good state of South Carolina football players. The difference between him and maybe a Judge Collier is he got those other offers, and people started paying attention to his film, and that's why he's ranked highly. And he's a guy that's as big of a pickup as there is, and certainly, getting in on him early like Torian Gray did, and this staff did, it paid off and paid off well. And he's probably really excited to be a Gamecock, and everybody in the building's probably really excited that he's there.
Phil and JC, with these two commitments, South Carolina will move to number 7 on the 24/7 rankings. So they'll move up to number 7. And so that should be updated here shortly. There's still one welcome home that is, at this point in time, quote unquote, unknown. There is, let's call it speculation of one player in particular, JC, if they do land this young man, and I'm not going to ruin any moments for anybody, but if my speculation is correct, we'll put it that way. South Carolina would be up just a point shy of being number 4 in the country in the 24/7 recruiting rankings. Across the aisle, the on-3 rankings, South Carolina, I think, was 5th before these two commitments. Mm-hmm. They're going to be inside of that. My point is that, let me add one more data piece here. They're cleaning up in state. Just this past cycle, 4 of the top 7 players in the state of South Carolina is ranked by 24/7 Sports. And let me be honest, I don't like smearing any kids or anything like that. But number 2 was number 1. No offense to Monroe Freeling. He's not the best player in the 23 class, and that will be proven in time. But Carolina has been cleaning up in state. They're doing it now in the 24 class. Every top prospect in the state is coming to South Carolina. I think maybe except one at this point in time. I just talked about the rankings. This is you're seeing yesterday and the day before, JC. Now again this morning, national recruiting analysts, respected ones, not some of these Joe Schmoes, are going, holy cow. They're tweeting this and they're tweeting that. And they're mentioning it on their shows. Josh Pate just did it with the spring game. They're going, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know what's going on. And what's going on is Carolina seemingly right now is the cream of the crop. So this is a very important moment in the future of Gamecock football. And this staff knows it. And I think you're going to see them capitalize on it really quickly with the national momentum we've got with spring practice over.
Absolutely, Jamie. And look, you got to look at it like this. It hurts the program when you when you do miss out on top in-state guys. I think we've seen that. You know, I think there's no doubt that you can mask some of that if you work the portal, you know, these days. But you know, think about what Justice Boone and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins would mean to this defensive line right now. And you can throw Jordan Birch in there too, because technically he's an in-state guy that you don't have. So you need to get those guys sewn up and be, you know, the popular program in state. And boy, I've talked to some people inside the building. They're surprised that it happened this quick.
Mm-hmm.
They said, you know, some of these guys, it's almost like, hey, we're glad you guys don't suck anymore, so we don't have to go to Clemson. I mean,
well,
and the guy was being totally respectful of the Clemson program when he told me this. He was like, yeah, we're really surprised that you know, that this is happening, you know,
right.
this quickly, given all the success they've had in the upstate. So, yeah, man, I mean, you know, so you got to get that base, but then you also have to go and fill, because it's not like Georgia where you're going to have 25 guys like Josiah Thompson and Kelvin Hunter and Mazio Bennett. You know, you've got maybe 7 or 8. And so then you got to get your underrated in-state guys that you know, like the Judge Colliers of the world, like the DQ Smiths, like the Nick Warrays. So that gets you a little bit closer.
Blue collar.
And then you got to go into Georgia, and they're almost right at the edge in Georgia right now, especially looking at some of the 2025 kids they're in on, of being right there with swimming in the same pool Georgia and Alabama are swimming in. Now they're in the same pool right now. They're just in the shallow end, right? They're splashing around. Georgia and Bama are over there, you know, with goggles and flippers on, and they're pulling coral off the bottom of the pool. Gamecocks are in the pool; they're just not over there swimming yet. And so you got to do that. Now, the guys that got in Georgia, they're good. You got to go get guys out of Florida, because Florida is a good spot for players, and the top kids in Florida don't necessarily want to stay in state anymore. You know, Pup Howard's an example of that. And then you look at you know, they're not done, and I haven't even mentioned the DMV yet. And we all know about that. We've talked that to death, working north and south. Well, Beamer's not satisfied with that. You know, he hired Jody Wright because he want to start recruiting Mississippi. Well, 3 of the top 10 players in Mississippi have Carolina on their list, high on their list. They're going to visit. That's rare. I mean, you know, for every DeAndre Island there's been out of Mississippi and Josh Winchell or whoever you want to mention that Carolina's happened to get out of the state of Mississippi, they've missed on 25 of them. It's just not been a place that the Gamecocks have been able to go. Well, hey, Jody Wright's got some connections. Shane Beamer, they got Stone Blanton beating Mississippi State on him, you know, and then they're in really good shape for a lot of other guys over there. Daniel Hill, and then the 2025 kid for the receiver that's one of the top receivers in the country. So that's the thing about it, is this thing, you know, you head in, you're like, well, hopefully Beamer can get them back into North Carolina. And they've got some guys they're going to get from there. Or hopefully he can just corral all the in-state talent, or hopefully they can get some sleepers out of Georgia. Well, they're doing all of this at the same time. Mm-hmm. The formula for winning at South Carolina, they're following that recruiting blueprint, guys, to a T, right down to, right down to what they do in the portal, right down to still taking in-state players that are placed in junior colleges like Elijah Davis, because that's, you know, and for years that's been kind of an advantage because Clemson can't take JUCO. So if you want to come back home and play in-state, South Carolina's pretty much it as far as, you know, the Power 5 level. And so everything that that I've ever written about how to, you know, good ideas to recruit at South, how to build a roster at South Carolina, and others have written about, and people smarter than me have come up with, these guys are doing, and even beyond that, because they're also working west better than most staffs have. So it's you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, because I think there's a lot of ways you can win here, and I don't think you always have to sign a top 10 class for this program to be great. But
yeah,
I'll take the top 10 classes. I'll obviously take that over not, because percentage wise, that does, you know, that gives you a better shot in the way they're doing it with the in-state talent and with the DMV. You know, that area is talent rich. Ohio State, you know, ask. You talk about digging up Eric Parsegian, you can dig up Joe Paterno and ask him what kind of talent is in the DMV on an annual basis, and how important Maryland was and always has been to Penn State being a powerhouse program. So heck, man, I can't say enough good about the job these guys are doing. A lot of work to be done this year, certainly, but it's a good day. It's a good day.
Phil,
I was gonna say, not bad for a guy who was never a, offensive or defensive coordinator, never held a head coaching job. It was like,
not a lot of people wanting to fire Ray Tanner right now, are they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Phil, can you, outside of the traditional, I know we got to get to a break here, but outside of the traditional powers in the SEC, Alabama, Georgia, we've seen it out of these guys, LSU, even what we saw at A&M might actually be a good comparison. What my question was, is there another program, a blue-collar type, middle-class program like a South Carolina who's really never taken the next step? There's always, they've had some spurts here and there, clearly, as we have in Columbia. But can you think of another program in league history, let's say the last 30-plus years, that has turned recruiting into this, literally out of nowhere? I mean, coming off the heels of a 3-9, terrible seasons, what we saw in 19, what we saw in 20, and then you hire this guy whom a lot of the country laughed at. The boys in the upstate certainly laughed at, like Shadow of Mom's Basement and those Twitter accounts. And a lot of people in your own fan base question, and rightfully so. I understand that, because he had never been a head coach. But it seemed like a large gamble. And we're not even 2.5 years into this. And the whole country, if you follow recruiting and college football, you are stopping and looking at South Carolina and going, wow, well, we see Alabama, we see Georgia in the recruiting rankings. Yeah, we see Ohio State. We see who? Well, now, wait a second. That's South Carolina. Yeah, it is. Like, can you compare this to anything in y'all's minds that we've seen in a while?
I mean, you see some, programs come and go, might have a hot year, maybe two in recruiting, and then, they lose their coach or something like that. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. Either that, or unfortunately for us, one of the better, I think examples you can point to is the one right down the road here,
Yeah, but they're not in the SEC.
And then come up and they're, but not in the SEC though. That's the other thing about it. It was like they had an easier path.
Yeah, well, it's just guys in college football in general, man.
They got a great church up there, by the way.
Think of besides Clemson, who actually, it's not like Clemson had never been good. They won a national title in the 80s. Obviously, during that period, we were one of the top programs in the country. Then Danny Ford leaves, and they kind of go into the wilderness a little bit. And, there hasn't been another program besides Clemson in college football that's gone from, division hopeful, we hope we win the Atlantic this year, right, to national champion. I mean, the only other program that's seen a rise like that and is kind of there and gotten there and stayed there is Oregon. And Oregon hasn't won one. They've played for two. But, who else? I mean, Kansas State's got a pretty good program now, but, Snyder kind of built it, and then he left and came back. And, the guy they got now is a heck of a coach, and they're good. But, they've never played for a national title. I mean, Virginia Tech's played for one, and unfortunately, I think they're about to go back into the wilderness quite a bit up in Blacksburg. But, it's hard. It is hard. And I think it takes someone that's a little bit different, like a Dabo Swinney, to be honest, that has that unwavering belief in where you're at. You got your 2 feet on the ground, and you're dug in, and you believe in the place. And I'm not saying Will Muschamp did. Will Muschamp certainly saw the potential in South Carolina. I bet it rips him apart that things weren't better here. for him. Steve Spurrier had this unwavering belief, I think in himself, but also in the program. Man, shoot, why can't we go win? That kind of thing. And Lou Holtz obviously had some belief in the program. Joe Morrison was a different character, like a way different dude. My
dad
and
used
he
to smoke
believed in
cigarettes
South
with him
Carolina
after games.
Yeah, I mean, I've never.
Seriously.
You see some of those old Joe Mo things. He'll like walk across the field, light up a Marlboro Red, and go shake Vince Dooley's hand. I mean, he's the man in black. I mean, Joe Morrison, that era, he was just so different, and the team was so fun to watch because of the different. They're very creative on both sides of the ball and stuff, and that kind of set the table for this. How does this program get to where we all want it?
Yeah.
You got to be different. You got to believe, and you got to recruit your ass off because it's not the easiest sell. And I think Shane Beamer's checking all those boxes right now, fellas. I mean, I'm not trying to have a victory, national championship victory celebration here on April 19th of 2023, but this just continues to be something that I almost have to watch myself being too positive about it, because I've like I said, like everybody's always has said for a while, we've never seen anything like this at South Carolina.
No, we haven't. But again, I'll reiterate the source that I spoke with yesterday that said, "Hey, look, right now, Carolina fans, it's okay. Be excited, because your excitement and belief in this program it carries a lot of weight, and the bad times, certainly the negativity carries a lot of weight too. You can't escape anything anymore. You can't escape if you're a player. Remember the old days where you say you just block it out. You just don't listen to them. That's impossible. You can't get away from all these things anymore. And so at some point in time, you will feel the effects. But again, my source yesterday said, what's happening right now is unprecedented at South Carolina. And it really, as Shane often says, we're just getting started. It actually really feels like they're just getting started, because there is a lot that is going on behind the scenes for 24, 25, and so on and so forth, JC. With that said, we do need to step aside for a quick timeout. Before we get there, though, a reminder to all of you that 1 week from tomorrow in Columbia is the first of two Carolina Rise live events at Home Team Barbecue. I'm asking all of you personally, please buy a ticket to come see these 12 football players. You don't have to be a member of Carolina Rise. You don't even have to be a Gamecock football fan. You just have to be a fan of football and good people and good food. Every penny. Let me reiterate this. Unlike some organizations out there, every single penny that goes into Carolina Rise goes to football players, unless there is some type of expense that needs to be paid, like paying for a website. Everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of JC here. She didn't have to open his mouth about it. If you can please come on Thursday of next week at Home Team in Columbia, or Saturday of next week at Home Team in North Mount Pleasant, and meet Dakereon Joyner and see how big his calves are. Watch these offensive linemen have their wing eating contests. Listen to Juju McDowell talk and try not to laugh. You're going to enjoy taking pictures with these guys. You're going to enjoy being there with them. You're going to enjoy meeting a lot of great businesses in the area. Your kids are going to remember this for the rest of their lives. I remember the kids that I met who were my heroes. You're going to enjoy meeting Marcellus Dial and then watching him take that pick six back against Clemson this coming season in Williams-Brice Stadium. You go, son of a bitch, I got a picture with that guy. You're going to enjoy all this. Go to thebigspur.com and buy a ticket. And there are rain check packages if you can't make it. But please go. Next Thursday.
Actually, go Carolina Rise. Yeah, CarolinaRise.com. Because
there's a link on the
you can find it on the front of Big Spur too.
Yeah.
And I did want to say one thing. It goes to play. It's not just football. Ethan Petrie, is one of our guys for baseball. Messina, Noah Hall. I mean, some of the commercials you hear from the guys like Braylon Wimmer on the show, that's what we do at Rise. And those guys aren't, and the money we get for the events goes in the big pot. And I've also got a couple of men's basketball deals in the works. And there's probably some pretty positive Gamecock men's basketball recruiting news that will come out here pretty shortly, probably next week. But yeah, we're helping everybody, man. And it's in every little bit counts. And, I understand everybody's got a lot to do in the spring in South Carolina. It probably wasn't the best dates. I probably should have thought that a little better. But if you can't make it, we do have rain check tickets available where you get all the signed stuff that you would have gotten had you been at the event. And then you get a free pass to our VIP tailgate that's coming up this season, which is not a fundraiser. It's more of a giving, hey, we love you guys. Thanks for being members of Carolina Rise. Let's drink a beer, listen to some music, have some Nana's Porch catered and all that. Probably do it in Charlotte if the kickoff time works. So, you get a free pass for that too, for the $50 on the rain check tickets. And Phil put those things right there. So,
yep, it's also in our YouTube video description, so y'all go check out the Big Spur YouTube page, and if you need the link, it'll be permanently there under this video.
Or CarolinaRise.com. It's my guy that does the website for me, who's awesome. He's got it now. You used to have to scroll way down to get to the information, and so he's got it up there at the top. You just go to CarolinaRise.com. It directs you, and you can rock and roll and get that. And sales have picked up in the last 24 hours. So, looking forward to flying down and seeing all you guys there and, raising some money for the players and keeping this thing going because NIL has made a big difference. As behind as Carolina as a whole is still with it, you can see it getting there, and it has helped. And it may not help you go buy a top class like A&M, but I don't even think you want that. What this does is it helps keep current players mostly happy, take care of your players, is what you hear. And then that resonates in recruiting quite a bit because guys want to go places where, they're taken care of, and you can do it perfectly legally now. And this is a great way to do it. So thank you so much for bringing it up, Jamie, because we definitely need more happy faces there, more tickets sold, all that, but we're getting there.
Yep, and I'll be there at the one in Mount Pleasant, and Michael Flint will be there. He turns 40 this weekend, so somebody buy him a round or 100. All right, we got to hit a timeout. It is 12:32. Traveling Country Club is the coolest club in the Carolinas. Over 40 golf courses to be played in North Carolina and in South Carolina. If you don't know about it, check out the website, travelingcountryclub.com, travelingcountryclub.com. They just added Mount Mitchell Golf Club up there in the mountains of North Carolina. They also just added awesome Wedgefield Country Club in Georgetown, South Carolina. They're scattered everywhere, about 45 courses to play. travelingcountryclub.com, teeing up our coverage of recruiting right here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, and we'll be right back.
If you're in the upstate of South Carolina and are in need of residential real estate services, Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane is for you. Ask her about the Village at Creekside, all of her listings in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, right there on Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a lifelong Gamecock fan. And many of our listeners have already bought homes from her and been 100% satisfied with the detail and care she uses. Cindy Searfoss, 864-414-5271, Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate for your real estate needs.
Coach O here, and when I'm not eating average jambalaya or celebrating endless summer in Destin, I like to eat pimento cheese straight off the bucket. And the only pimento cheese I like to eat is from Nana's Porch. It's award-winning, it'll melt in your mouth, it's good on a cracker, it's good in a bowl, it's good on a piece of bread. Also, don't forget Nana's Porch has a hell of a food truck. It's award-winning as well, and they're here for all of your catering needs. So get online, nanasporch.com. It's good. Coach O signing off. Endless summer, go Tiger.
The preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics is Signorama Columbia, and they should be yours too. A full-service sign company that handles design, production, install, and service, Signorama Columbia has helped to bring to life the perfect vision for so many all across South Carolina. Owned and operated by proud Gamecock alumni, they can handle all types of signage, including interior and exterior, vehicle graphics, and more. Go to Signorama.com and find the West Columbia location, or call them at 803-407-9284. Bring your brand to life with Signorama Columbia, and go Gamecocks.
Hey man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
You know what, Phil? Let's ask Stone Blanton.
Hey JC and Phil, if you want a solution to your IT problems, give Heritage Digital a call. Our boy Matt Odom has a low-cost, one-price solution that will get you running right. Call 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com and ask for Matt. He will hook you up today and tell them Stone sent you.
This is freshman All-American Nicky Memorial of the Carolina Gamecocks, and you're listening to The Show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. 803-446-4662 is how to get in touch with them to talk about how they can get some more sunshine into your life, or perhaps enclosing a porch or a patio for you this summer to enjoy the outdoors bug-free. Sorry, I'm a little winded. Somebody... Reformed Manho said somebody was in my yard, so I just wanted to go out there and shake my fists.
When we were talking, the look on your face was like you were looking down on somebody in your yard and following them intently. I read that and I chuckled. I was like, I chuckled. I chuckled. Oh well, I chuckled and chuckled a little bit. But anyway, that's good. Yeah, Nana Sports Chat Box. Saunders says if you go to Home Team Barbecue, stay away from the Game Changers.
I know.
They're a one and done type of drink.
I've been ever since the first day that Aaron opened the first Home Team. I've known that literally the first day, 20 years ago or whatever it was. Let me squeeze this in real quick. By the way, King says that it will stay Sanders, Mahoney, and TBA this weekend more than likely, but Carolina is certainly banged up and hoping to win 2 of 3. Much more on baseball tomorrow and on Friday. Remember, Stuart Lake always joins us on Fridays, and certainly looking forward to speaking with him again this week after Carolina plays game 1 of this series. JC, the event in Columbia is the same night as the NFL draft, isn't it? That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, good thing is the draft. Yeah, the draft starts at 8, so I'll probably be hanging out afterward a little bit for sure with the fiance and my brother and maybe some friends that are in town. But so the draft starts at 8, the event ends at 7. So hang on out, come on, hang out, and all that. It'll be a lot of fun. Palmetto Autographs will be there selling signed merchandise, not just from the players there, but their collection, bringing it there. They've been generous enough to sponsor the event and donate a percentage of their sales. So if you're a memorabilia head and you like memorabilia, there'll be an opportunity to do that and to also get your own. You get one signed item if you when you with the ticket, and then I think it's we'll have mini footballs and stuff there for a slide up charge to get it signed by whoever else you want. Unlimited pictures taken with the guys. You can take pictures with them. We'll have cameo style video shout outs available. So if you got like if your wife or daughter or a mom or dad or whoever has a birthday coming up or an anniversary, you can get DeCarrion Joyner to shout them out on your phone and say, hey, Mary, happy birthday. This is DeCarrion Joyner. For I think $25 a piece and 5 for $100, something like that. So there's other little fundraising things that take place within it. But I think the value of the ticket, and particularly the rain check ticket, if you can't make it, is pretty solid considering you get signed items and stuff without even having to go. But it's It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, I did not realize 100% it was draft night when he scheduled it, but
that's all right. It doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah. Well, and then in the Charleston event, we'll have the third round on Saturday too.
We'll probably see a couple of Gamecocks get
couple of Gamecocks off the board and all that, and then of course there's that after party at Flint's house with the pool.
Oh, is that where it is?
On Saturday? Yeah, I think. I was talking to Nat. I think
this Saturday.
I think maybe heading. Maybe we're talking about me heading down to the. I don't know. We'll be hanging with you, obviously, JB. So
we'll get it all. Yeah,
get it all taken care of. But anyway, appreciate everybody's consideration for that, and certainly love you guys, all of you. You know, this collective business has been weird. Yeah, Jan's right. What
Jan says, I enjoy hearing Xavier Legette talk even more. Hey, look, good. Tell folks to come to one or both of the Carolina Rise events because he'll be there talking to somebody.
Yes,
he could talk to you, as a matter of fact, if you come, because Xavier Legette will be there, and you can ask him all about that catch against Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. It was a
100-yard.
As a matter of fact,
100-yard
kickoff returning against A&M. Yeah, he had some outstanding plays. That's a kid that I think is going to not be talked about enough as we move our way towards the season. And then, like, when we get to game time, all of a sudden you're going to kind of look around at each other and go, oh, yeah, old Xavier Legette's still out there. You know, he had another 5 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown today, because Juice is obviously going to get all the attention. We all know how much Knox has gotten. I think Simon will continue to get more. I just love his game. And then, of course, I mean, we right now, guys, I would say the biggest story has been Joyner / what to do with the running backs, but now you're also kind of bringing this new conversation of the offensive line into play with Jalen Nichols' injury, the future case up in the air. We don't know how proven Cindy Cougar is going to be. So while there has been so much excitement about that position, now there's also a lot of, oh my gosh, we have to wait 4 months to kind of find out where we're going to be here. And then guys like Xavier Legette are just going to kind of sneak under the radar, and then you're going to look up and all of a sudden realize that they're catching passes again. And they're pretty darn good. So,
there's no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. You know, that's all those storylines are right there. So, you know.
All right. I did see just a minute ago too, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on this. So, Saunders said, whom I usually agree with everything Saunders says. I'm not saying I disagree. I just like to add a little bit to his comments in the Nana Sports chat box. Clemson's meteoric rise in recruiting was, in my opinion, in 14 to 15, the years 2014, 15. They went from 0 5-stars in a class to 3 in one class. When will our first multi 5-star class happen? I'm hoping 2024. So you're not wrong. Obviously, they added more talent. Let's add on to that a little bit though. I've said this, I've said it, and I've said it again, and I mean this about both Carolina and Clemson. When the Tigers went from very good to elite was when they went from very good to elite on both lines of scrimmage. When South Carolina went from turning things around, getting going under Steve Spurrier to, oh my God, they just won 33 games in 3 years. They were elite on both lines of scrimmage for the most part. So a couple of weaknesses here and there, but at that point in time, especially on the defensive side, were the best they'd ever been. With Clemson, though, the main difference was they signed 2 back-to-back, essentially once-in-a-generation type quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, like them, love them, leave them, hate them, whatever it is, they were elite college quarterbacks, and they beat the crap out of everybody. And Clemson had great receivers and all that stuff. I know it. They've gone to the NFL. They had great run. They had all that stuff. I get it. They had great players. But great teams lose with great players. You have a much better chance of winning it all if you are elite in the trenches and you have an elite quarterback, and that's exactly what they have.
Yes, sorry, excuse me. There, I meant to hit. Pointed out, and yeah, Clemson's line of scrimmage, and you could see it happening when they on defense. Like their 2014 defense was ranked number 1 in the country, and that team was kind of transit. They started Cole Stout and Watson. They went back and forth, whatever. But by the end of that year, that defense was really something, and they hadn't always been that good. And that part of it, those were guys they developed, like the Grady Jarretts of the world and the Shaq Lawsons and all those. And then behind those guys, they started bringing in Christian Wilkins and Cleveland Farrell and these monsters, And look, yeah, Clemson started signing multiple 5-stars, but look, I'm gonna bust out. This is the class after right before Deshaun, 2013. Okay, you did get Mackenzie Alexander, Dorian O'Daniel. Mackenzie was a 5. Some of the higher rated guys in the class, like Tyshawn Dye, didn't really turn out. Tyrone Crowder was pretty good. But then you start looking at who were the guys that were playing on that national championship team in 16. Ben Boulware, low 4-star from South Carolina. Shaq Lawson, low 4-star from Daniel High School. J-Ron Curse was a freak, low 4-star guy. They pulled out of Florida. I think they beat Auburn on him. Mike Williams, who South Carolina dropped the ball on. How special was that guy? Still is, from down in Lake Marion. They were fortunate to get him because he was a Gamecock lean until, I don't know, a couple of coaches decided just not to go to his school for a while and questioned his speed. Wayne Gallman was an 89 and listed as an outside linebacker. How good was he? Cordero Tankersley was an in-state kid Carolina did not want. Started for them. Jordan Leggett from the coastal paradise of Navarre, Florida. They beat nobody for him. He was 205 pounds. How many catches did he make in that first national championship game?
Yeah.
Jadar Johnson was a player. TJ Green from Alabama was a guy that got drafted. That was somebody they got out of Bama, that kind of thing. Ryan Carter was a 2-star. People thought they took him and Gallman to get Kimdichie, right, from Grayson. He ended up being a player. And then, of course, there's the Hunter Renfro story, which everybody knows. So, yes, Clemson recruited its share of 5-stars, but they also did a fantastic job, at least initially, when they were building toward that championship moment, of getting good, hard-nosed kids out of South Carolina and Alabama and Florida and Georgia and putting a team together around them. It wasn't always the Stephon Anthonys of the world, the 5-star guys that were out there making the plays for them during their rise. And the similarities are with Beamer. We see guys like that. We see the DQ Smiths, the Nick Emenwarays, and, guys out there that maybe weren't the highest rated guys but are making plays. And then you combine the highly rated guys with them and hope they all pan out. That's kind of, if you're looking at the Clemson model, that's kind of how they did it. And, and you're right, JB. Don't think for a minute that those two quarterbacks didn't mean an awful lot as far as Clemson being successful. And those two guys are both good. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, the sky's the limit for that guy.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about next year. And then Deshaun, I know he ran into some problems, but he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL during his career as well. So I don't think for a minute that, and that's why we always talk about quarterback and being very, very important. And you always sign the best you can get. But it's just interesting because a lot of people do, as Saunders pointed out, talk about, Clemson and all these 5-stars. And if you look at the who are the 5-stars, there's a lot of guys like Deion Kane who are really good players, but were they as important as Hunter Renfro? Mike Williams, Shaq Lawson, the list goes on and on and on. But I always kind of point that out that, it's nice to get those guys and it's nice to be elite, but you better have in that second part of your class a lot of good evaluations and developmental guys as well.
South Carolina sure has that. A lot of good evaluations right now in the 24 class. When we return, our final break of the afternoon here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, we will get to this question that was just asked a couple of minutes ago by James. What do y'all think about Clemson only offering 57 players from the 24 class? I've got a thought on that. We'll let certainly interested to hear JC and Phil's thoughts on that as well. Plus, where South Carolina is and soon could be in the newest college football recruiting rankings. Signorama is the preferred sign partner of Gamecock Athletics. They are the preferred sign partner of us inside the Gamecocks, the show. That's why we every day are in the Signorama studios, and we are just thrilled, as always, to be a part of this great family headed up by a Gamecock alumni himself, Matt Vaughn. If you are in the sign industry or need something from the sign industry, whether it's for your business, whether you need your car wrapped, you just need some tablecloths made, whatever it could possibly be, it's Signorama in West Columbia, but they can do whatever you need wherever you are in the state of South Carolina. It might be Myrtle Beach, it might be Greenville, it might be Hilton Head, it might be right smack dab there in the center in Columbia. Signorama.com, 803-407-9284. That phone number. Call Matt Vaughn and his team. Look around Williams-Brice Stadium, Founders Park, Colonial Life Arena, and more. And all across campus, you'll find out how good they are if you didn't already know. The preferred sign partners of the Gamecocks, Signorama.com. All right, final time out of the afternoon. When we return, again, that question and a couple of final nuggets on Carolina football recruiting. Is it done yet today? Maybe not.
I don't know.
We'll
I
see.
don't know. Very sneaky, very sneaky.
We'll be right back. And the days of being back in the pool and boat are quickly approaching. Many of us don't have the time to hit the gym, but Charleston Fitness Equipment can change that for you. Outfit your home with a treadmill, elliptical, or my favorite, a home rower that allows you to row with the pros all over the world. They have free weights, home gyms, flooring, and much more that makes keeping or getting in shape much more convenient. Located in Mount Pleasant, visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com for more. Get in shape like our Gamecocks. Charleston Fitness Equipment, proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Kelvin mortgage expert and Gamecocks fan servicing North and South Carolina. Whether you're buying a home, building your dream home with new construction, or turning your equity into cash, UHM's world-class service will ensure you find the perfect mortgage to achieve your home ownership goals. Call Kevin at 803-906-0244 or visit UHM.com today. Union Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS 2229, LONMLS 1772182.
Daddy, I want you to take me to Disney World.
Calm down. JC is here. As y'all know, folks, the family and I have visited Disney World many times, but it can be overwhelming, especially if it's your first time going to the most magical place on earth. I highly recommend wherethisroadleads.com and my friend Cherie, a certified Disney vacation planner. That's right, the mouse has given her permission to book your family vacation hassle-free. You don't know where to go, don't know where to stay, don't know where to eat, don't know what to do. It can be overwhelming. So get on wherethisroadleads.com and schedule your free consultation right now. She can help you out. The prices are very reasonable. You don't pay any extra fees. In fact, she's much more reasonable maybe than booking it straight through Disney. So for your next Disney vacation, or, more likely your first, so you don't panic, go to wherethisroadleads.com and talk to Cherie, certified Disney vacation planner, a partner of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Ethan Petrie from Land O'Lakes, Florida, and you are listening to the show with JB, JC, and Phil. Go Cox.
That ball was
good,
killed.
JB. Yeah, he did. He smashed that
Yeah,
thing.
he hammered that one. There's no doubt about that. He hopefully he can hit a couple of those this weekend because they're going to need him against the Gators. There's no doubt. Let's Cocky Talk. Do y'all think we can compete for the SEC East this year? They're going to win it. Matter of fact, Cocky Talk 12-0. You'll see him in Atlanta. That is my response to that. 12-0. Yes, I do. I think that they will win the whole damn thing. Clint said his TBS subscription must have run out. Clint, it sounds like your wife needs to quit spending money. It seems to me like maybe your credit card is just not working.
Yeah, the wife thing, I used to get that sometimes. Like people cancel, and they're dead serious. Wife's making me give it up, and it's not the $9 or whatever. It's the probably spending too much time on the site, right?
Yeah.
And but since we got the promo where if you pay full price, you don't come because we have specials sometimes on TBS, and CBS and 24/7 run these, and they do a fantastic job for us. But if you pay full price, you get Paramount Plus with it. So the wives have piped down a bit about the TBS membership because they're enjoying Paramount Plus, watching their programs or whatever. I don't want to not have to watch my stories, so I guess you can get on that website. Yeah, you're not taking my stories away. You better renew, Clint.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, Clint, get your own credit card, man. Don't you know you got to put the man stuff on a different credit card?
Clint, is this going to affect Paramount Plus? Am I not going to be able to watch? What's it called? Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to watch Yellowstone now.
I got to throw it in the side of one of my Twitter follows on the Wi-Fi tweeter machine. The Taste of Country. Breaking news: John Dutton will die in season 5. I said, "Oh, come on, man! What's the point of you doing that?" That's why we watch the show to find out. You dumbass! Like, come on! I mean, come on, man!
I got that with Succession because I watched that show on HBO, and they killed off. I don't know why. I mean, two of the shows I really got to do: Ozark and Succession. And both freaking shows killed off my favorite characters. Now, Succession's toward the end.
Whoa. Stop. Everybody's already seen Ozark, but I'm just getting started on Succession.
Spoiler alert. Jeez.
Golly.
Well, you don't know who my favorite character is.
I can probably figure it out by watching one episode. I know you well enough. Oh, this guy's going to die.
Sorry.
I mean, how do you know?
People are having login issues on the Big Spur. Guys, how about I think 24/7 it's been jittery because I tried to update the commitment list a while ago and got an error message. So
it is updated. South Carolina is up to number 7. We spoke about that earlier.
Nice.
That's on the 24/7. So you're looking at Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, LSU, Florida State, Penn State, and the Gamecocks. However, if certain things fall into place, you can look for that number to jump substantially relatively soon, JC. As in like to number 5 or maybe higher. So let's just keep our eyes on that.
So what's the probability of this class?
Is he
when it's all said and done inside the top 10? The guy that we needed an answer from just blanked out. So
yeah, he's back. Hey, guys, I'm good on Ozark. Y'all can say whatever you want on Ozark. We watched it over and over and over.
Saw that.
But the whole not on the Succession stuff. Easy. What's the likelihood? I mean, obviously, this is more of a JC question. I would say this though. I would say this just based on the general public knowledge we have of the guys that are out there. And then based on I mean, I hate saying things like this because it feels so unfair to our audience, but like the quote unquote backroom conversations you have that you just can't do anything. You can't. So with that, I would say JC, the likelihood they're a top 10 class, I would say right now it's better than 50-50. But that can quickly change. You got to remember, it changes all across the country.
Yeah.
But I would say right now it's better than 50-50. But as things go on, time goes on, and recruiting rankings update, that could change. But as we stand today, top 10 class, JC, better than 50-50 in your mind? Maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, right now, things have to fall their way, of course. And, forgive my audio. For some reason, the Bluetooth cut off on my computer, and my mouse is Bluetooth. So I don't really know how I'm going to turn it back on.
Well, I tell you what, we're out of time anyways.
Yeah.
Let's squeeze in this last question to James. Sure. Do you think 57 offers that Clemson rolled out is low? It is low.
Yep.
But I'll let you take it from here.
And their strategy now is to be relatively selective. I don't know enough about what their number situation looks like for this class.
They're 3 over right now.
Yeah, because Clemson will take a 13-person class in a heartbeat. I mean, they've proven that. Most of the time, those are pretty daggone good classes, right? But a pretty low number. But looking at the defensive players they got last year on that side of the ball, they're not slowing down. I mean, so but so I don't know. Like I said, they've been known. Dabo will take a 13-person class, not bat an eye. So that's probably what it is with their situation this year. Then you get to hear about how young they are when they're winning 11 games. Oh, we're young. We're young.
I know. Yeah, it's well, and the latest news out of Clemson is that they might be pulling 3 scholarships from walk-ons whom they'd already given scholarships to.
Jeez, that's not a good look.
Well, but Dabo told him that up front.
Yeah, it happens, but
it does happen.
Yeah, no, yeah, but still, it's like.
But you're right. That's not going to be the headline. It's going to be Clemson yanks scholarships from walk-ons.
Hey, that's fine.
I'll write it. I could just hear somebody in Alabama going, yeah, I don't want that son of a bitch here at Alabama. He's screwing over the
I say Dabo is not an outstanding man. He is. Let's go get Kirby. What's he doing?
Let's go get Kirby.
He's at the gelding ceremony for Boom the Bulldog.
That's right. Oh, 11. He's soon to be. That's right.
At the feet of Dooley.
Well,
the left hand of Herschel.
It's been a busy
Mount Munson.
Yeah, right.
Mount Munson.
It is been a
what day is it today?
pretty wild day around here. That's for sure. I would say to the fine folks who are still with us here, first of all, thank you for being with us. If any of you joined late and missed Monty Lee's interview, I really highly encourage you to go back and listen to it. He is always great, and he's a better guy and an even better friend, and I'm just honored to call him that. I would also say stay fairly engaged over the next hour or so, and we'll see what we bring to the table tomorrow. JC, as always, has been excellent, and got a feeling he might have a chance to be excellent again tomorrow. If he's not, we'll get rid of him and find somebody else. And Phil is always in charge, so we won't tick him off. Classic Phil. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show from the Signorama Studios. I hope you have the most wonderful of Wednesdays, as the weather here in South Carolina is absolutely beautiful. And as always, go Gamecocks. See you tomorrow.